Hey everybody, I'm Teryn Darling, and you're listening to the Tatter-a-fact Podcast here at Girlz Ink in Las Vegas. Happy to have you all here. So today, my guests are, we have Eric and Melissa Palacios. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. So this is your first time, Eric, coming on. You were on last year, Melissa. Mm-hmm. And it was a great episode.
It was fun.
Yeah. So you two, for anybody that doesn't know, Eric and Melissa, you own and run the Vegas PMU Conference here at the Cosmopolitan. And it happens to be October 6th through 9th this year, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let me start with this. What's your connection to Vegas, and why do the conference in Vegas?
Okay. Do you want to start or me?
Our history goes back to 1964 in Las Vegas. My uncles moved to New York City first from South America. A year later, they moved to Vegas. So they've been in town since 1964. Four uncles all worked in casinos in the showrooms and kind of grew up around the celebrities and casino action here in
like
Las
the Rat
Vegas.
Pack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. One of my uncles worked at the Hilton, where Elvis, that was his residence during the 70s. And then two uncles worked at the Desert Inn, which was where the Rat Pack was most of the time. Yeah. And another uncle at the Sahara, who also had some real great artists there as well. So my dad followed suit in 1978. We moved here as well. I grew up in Las Vegas, and Melissa moved here a few years later, I think. 89.
Yeah.
So, 89?
Mm-hmm. So I was raised in Washington State.
Okay.
So my parents lived in Vegas in the 70s.
Okay.
And then in 89, they decided they wanted to move back to Vegas. So we moved back to Vegas, and I met Eric through his cousin. So we've actually grown up together. So I met him when I first moved.
Well, I know your romance story,
and
it's a cute story. Yeah, it's a really cute story. So, it's kind of like when you leave Vegas, you come back.
That's what they say, the golden handcuffs, right?
Yes. It's like you always come back. My brother's done it 3 times. And now he's decided, that's it.
You find places where the weather is nicer, where there's mountains, there's trees, there's 4 seasons. A lot of reasons to leave, but you always end up returning. Vegas is just so easy. It's an easy place to live.
I was going to say, why do you think that is, Eric? Because, right now, look, we're sitting in a 110 degree summer. As we sit here and speak today, it's like grueling hot. Traffic, you can gripe about Vegas. I actually don't gripe about Vegas. I love it so much, but you can gripe about Vegas. What is it? I don't know if I can. Is it because all the restaurants and everything's open?
For me, it's ease of living, especially for friends from back east that have to take a bus to a train to a taxi to get to work and back. The commutes here are not that bad, even with all the modern traffic we have because of the stadiums and everything else. It's still an easy place to live. You're close to work, you're close to everything you need, and literally everything is open 24 hours. So if it's 2 a.m. and you want a cheeseburger, you can go get one. The amount of restaurants, entertainment, everything, you never have to leave, which is something that's very different for everywhere else in the world. If you want to see Taylor Swift, you have to come to Vegas. If you want to see some kind of a sporting event, you have to come to Vegas. If you want to see things on a huge scale, you have to come to Vegas. Everywhere else is a smaller venue, smaller scale, and not everything is accessible or available. So, for instance, if you were to go to Chicago, New York, Atlanta, these are great cities,
right?
But what are you going to do every night while you're there for a conference or while you're there for an event? You're kind of limited. In Las Vegas, you can literally do something morning, noon, and night and never be bored.
Yeah, 100%. And one more. You can see Tom Brady now here in Vegas.
There you go.
Right? Yeah. You can totally see Tom Brady. We have season tickets to the to Las Vegas Aces. Nice. So we go, 2 times very national champions, right? Go Asia Wilson. But like twice now, I've seen Tom Brady show up. I think he's part owner of the Aces.
Might be, I don't know.
Yeah. So big Tom Brady friend. So we could do a whole podcast on how much we love Vegas. But I really want to talk about you guys and your conference. So All right. So that's your connection to Vegas. You love Vegas as much as I do. And most locals, I think, love Vegas. So what's your connection to PMU?
Yeah. So our daughter, when she was 18, decided she wanted to get into microblading. Actually, before she was 17. And she came to us and said, I think I know what I want to do. And we were like, what? And she said, I don't want to do microblading. We didn't even know what that was.
I was going to say, were you like, what is that?
Yeah. We're like, what do you mean? And so at first, Eric was kind of opposed. I was open just to hearing what it was. So she wound up getting into the industry. The day she turned 18, she got licensed. She was practicing and looking into it and ready to go. And 18, she went down, got her license, and took off. So her mentor was invited to a conference in Japan, I think.
Japan?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And she wanted to bring Sabrina with her. But at the time, we were like, well, you're kind of new still. We don't know. We're still learning about what this is, and it's far. And I don't know if I feel comfortable with that. We don't really know the mentor that well. So, we said no, but we're like, but what is it? So we started looking into what it was. Her mentor came back and was thrilled with the experience, telling us all about it, like everything they learned, everything they did. So we're just sitting around talking. And then Eric says, well, why don't we do that here? Like, we should do that in Vegas. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, well, I don't know. And he's like, everyone wants to come to Vegas. And then it would be, because we hadn't heard of any other conference at that time that we knew of. And he said, well, everyone wants to come to Vegas from everywhere. And then it's in the United States. So girls like Sabrina who live here,
right,
it'd be easier for them to go to a conference instead of having to go to another country. Were you going to say something?
Just that when she was invited to go to Japan, we said, well, why don't you go to one here first and see if you enjoy it, if you like it. And the response was, there's nothing like there is in Europe and in Asia, in the U.S.
Yeah, they're big productions.
Yes.
They are.
Over in Europe, they're big productions.
It's kind of like going to the Oscars. It's that kind of thing. So we had the idea, well, why don't we try to do something in that scale here in the U.S. So we did our first conference, and we had 65 people attend. And so
65.
And we thought it was a great success.
Now, how many years ago was that?
That was 2017.
2017. That was your first conference.
Yeah.
Was it at the Cosmopolitan?
No, we started at the MGM.
The MGM.
Yeah.
Okay. It's still a big venue.
Yeah.
It was nice, but
so 65 people. You could not have broken even.
And it was one of those where we chalked it up to a learning experience, and everybody was happy and everything went well.
We learned a lot, though.
You learned a lot. And you decided to do it again.
Yeah.
And from there, we decided to do it again. Our second one, we had 100 people come. And our third one grew to 200, but only because that was the size limit for the venue. So we finally figured, okay, we've got our momentum. We figured out how to do this and we made improvements so that we were having fun, and more importantly, everybody that attended was having a great time. So from there, we decided, well, let's go big, and that's when we moved to the Cosmopolitan.
Well, in between the 200 when the Cosmo was COVID. So we were geared up. It was 3 weeks before COVID hit. We were supposed to. COVID hit 3 weeks before we were supposed to do the conference, and so we switched to online. That was 2020.
So you just pivoted to online.
Yeah.
We did.
Which was smart rather than just shutting it down completely.
It worked. And we were fortunate that all the attendees cooperated and were, they realized it was out of our hands.
And it's hard to do an online conference too, so it's well done. Yeah. It's hard.
It's a lot more difficult than live. Because you have
I agree with you.
All the attendees and all the speakers, you have your whole AV crew, and everybody that for some reason hasn't figured it out, which is, a lot of the people, we're all new to Zoom and Teams and all these ways of doing online events. So you've got your phone ringing, your email, your text, and I can't hear, I can't see.
Exactly. I was just going to say you're
glitching.
100% reliant on technology working at its finest for
an
online.
That was a challenge, but it did work.
Well, what helped was we used the Wova app. So you used the app last year because now we do hybrid.
Which I love.
Well, see, we found Wova because of COVID. And so it wasn't a Zoom link, it was Stream Live, and the app automatically adjusts time zones. You can chat under the sessions. You can ask questions. You can share pictures. You can do virtual, all virtual meetups for people who are listening who aren't familiar. And so everyone got the app and they were like, this is so cool. This is amazing, because like you were saying, COVID, everybody was so shut off from everything.
Right.
It was like a community, and everybody got to be together and support each other and talk and share. And so then everybody said, don't do away with WOVA, please, next year. Like, keep WOVA. Like, we want to do this still. So 2021 was our first hybrid year. And that was at the Cosmo. That was the first year we did the Cosmo, was 2021. And that was our biggest conference. It wound up being really big because we weren't scared to do a conference. I think a lot of people still were.
Right.
But we weren't. And so, and I think people wanted to get out.
They were ready.
They were ready to get out. And so it was such a fun conference. Everybody was so thankful, so appreciative. And we did it hybrid. So we had streaming live, and then we had our live attendees. And so that was 2021. And then since then, we've just been doing the Cosmo.
Right. I don't think people, maybe they took conferences, for granted. I don't think people realized how important conferences were to them until they were taken away from us.
Yeah.
And we could no longer go to conferences. I've been going to conferences my entire career, 22 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 22 years. And I watched speakers. I watched how they walked on stage, how they engage or didn't engage.
Yeah.
What I liked about a speaker, what I found attracted, where maybe I got a little lost or where they lost me a little bit. And I just remember practicing, and just dreaming of being a speaker one day. Yeah. So 22 years later, conferences have always been a really super important, and I think everybody that knows me knows this, has been a super important part of my life. First as an artist, growing and learning and finding my confidence and my footing and figuring out, where I wanted to go with my career. And to this day.
Yeah.
They're important, very, very important. I still attend them, and I'll attend them until,
you can't.
until I can't.
Yeah.
Because they're fun and they just bring a lot of value.
Yeah.
So you've been doing, so 2017, my God, what is that? 7 years?
Yeah. This will be our 8th.
So this is going to be your 8th year.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Does it get easier?
In some ways.
In some ways it does. We've got a great team, and we have the venue set, and we have our vendors, and in that sense it's easy because we just go back to what works. But each year is a challenge because you want to do better, do more, have a better product, and you do have people coming back. So you don't want to just provide the same experience. So that's what I think is fun, is trying to come up with different concepts and different things and new ways to engage with the speakers and also with the audience, just provide a nicer, better experience for them.
But sometimes he wants to do too much.
Too much.
Because he's like the idea, we can do everything, we can do this. I'm more the planner organizer, where as soon as he says something, I'm trying to organize it in my head, like, how would that work?
And I'm more like Oprah. Like,
and he's
he
like,
gets a
it'll
pen,
work.
she gets a pen, everybody gets a pen.
So this is what Kat says, about me. So I'm wondering if this resonates. Okay. He's the flower.
Yeah.
You're the gardener.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly.
That's exactly.
Yeah. He's like, it can work. It'll be fine. And I'm like, well, no, wait a second.
Yeah.
Like, how would that work? How would we implement that? How would we organize it? Because I'm very appreciative, and it's a compliment to me. But I think the biggest thing I hear at conferences is from the attendees is they learn more than they thought, which I'm like, that's the whole point. That's amazing. And it was so organized.
Right.
And I'm a very organized person. I try to plan out everything. So when you were asking what's the biggest challenge, I think it's keeping it all organized, because I don't think people realize how many variables you're trying to organize together between attendees, vendors, speakers, flights, travel, hotel, food. I mean, the stack for the catering for the Cosmo we have to sign off is like this high. And so we have to check to make sure everybody's getting the right amount of food and the right amount of people. But every year we have a list where we make notes. Next year, do this. Next year, to be better every time. Implement this, or we need to do this, or we need to do that. So that has helped us to be more organized. But I think, like Eric said, we kind of have a blank, like a plan down that's pretty good.
Like the foundation.
Yes. Yeah. The foundation. And then we just add to it every year. So he comes in with ideas and I reel him back and say, well, I don't know if we're going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But
and it's sometimes when you go into restaurants and the menu's like too big, it can be overwhelming. So I'm assuming that, that might
Yeah, that too.
Same with the conferences, you know. But I attended your conference by, like, it was a last minute thing.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of years ago, we were supposed to be vending in Florida, and it was that horrible storm.
That was terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible, and that conference got canceled. So I think last minute, Kat was like, "Well, why don't I just email them and see if they got a little spot for me, if they can fit us in?" And I don't even think you really had a spot, but I think you kind of like moved a couple tables over and stuck us like in the corner, and we were so impressed.
Oh,
everything happens for a reason, right? So we were super impressed. And I remember you, Erica. Erica. I'm stuck on the flower thing.
Yeah. That's okay.
But I remember you are the one that kind of came around to the booths, you know, that first day and introduced yourself and made sure that we felt welcomed, we felt comfortable, we had everything that you needed. And then you kind of follow up after he does. The both of you, more than once, came around and personally went up to each vendor's booth, whether it was a big company or whether it was a tiny little, you know, singular person with a startup.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't matter. You were there checking on everybody. And that, let me tell you, that left an impression. Because you don't get that at most conferences. You just don't.
That's nice to hear. Thank you. And my way of looking at things, and Melissa agrees, I'm sure, is whoever is there, whether they paid for a basic ticket or bronze ticket, a VIP ticket, whether you're our main sponsor or you just purchased a booth to showcase your products, everybody that's there spent the most that they could to be there.
I agree with you.
So even if it was just $200, $300 to get there, that's all they could afford at the time. So to me, these people are doing the most that they can to be there, and they deserve equal attention, respect.
Yeah.
And even though they're getting different experiences, there are different levels in their career, they still deserve to get their money's worth and to feel like they matter, because they do. They're there to learn, to have fun, and to network. And we need to be able to provide the best experience that they can. Yeah.
And you do.
Oh, thank
100%.
Yeah. And I think we truly care that everybody benefits. So when you guys make collaborations with other artists, or you know, we've had some vendors that are going into other countries because we have people attend from all over the world.
Right.
We love it because we're like, that's the whole point, is everyone comes to one place from everywhere. But the collaborations and friendships and arrangements that are made every year is incredible. It's incredible to hear. And I get emails after. I love it because I get all these emails with all of these different things that are happening. And I even had one lady email me last year. She said she was in the industry over 20 years, was skeptical to come because she thought she knew everything. And she goes, I actually want to admit I came with a bad attitude, thinking I'm not going to like this and I'm going to, you know, be disappointed. And then she said, I have to tell you, it was the best experience ever. I have a fire under me. There's all these new things out there. I had no idea. She goes, I'm already thinking of ways I'm going to, you know, upgrade my business, improve my business. And she was like, just thank you so much. She had such a great time.
Yeah, it can really do that too. And I think especially this year, because it's been a tough year economically for artists, for companies, big companies, small companies, and every size company in between. It's been a tough year for the industry. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, you can feel down, you can feel overwhelmed, you can feel defeated,
right?
You know, when you're doing everything that you can and you just can't make traction. So I think, you know, the conference, especially a conference like yours, sometimes it can, like what you just said, Melissa, it can be the inspiration that person needs right now in that very moment.
Yeah.
Right. We get emails. And, you know, I do a lot of different topics on this podcast, and we get people that, honest to God, teeter-tottering, should they close their studio?
Yeah.
Should they quit? And it can be one sentence I say on this podcast. It can be one guest like you. It can be a conference like yours, an experience that you provide. that, oh, I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
Where gives that artist
Yeah.
the strength to get up one more day
Mm-hmm.
and to keep going.
I
It can
agree.
give that artist the inspiration and the hope. I guess hope is the word I was looking for. The hope that they need, that they're looking for.
Yeah.
They don't want to quit. They're
Right.
searching for hope,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're searching. And sometimes, and I think a lot of times you can find that at a conference, at the right conference. You can
Yeah.
find that.
And I agree, because I think people who aren't familiar with conferences, they think, oh, it's just another, trainer teaching. And yes, there are, obviously you're coming to learn PMU techniques.
Mhm.
But like I said, the collaborations, every year we have people in tears because they had no support. Maybe their family didn't support them, like you said.
Mhm.
They're ready to shut down. They don't know what to do, but it's something they're passionate about, something they love. They want to do it. And then they make friends with people. They're like, she lives by me. She lives by me. We didn't know we lived by each other. And then they all connect and they're all going to help each other now.
Yeah.
So it becomes this collaboration, like a support group.
Right.
And through this app we were talking about, everyone gets access to free replays.
Right.
So it is a lot of information. So we're happy to provide that because you can't remember everything. But because everybody's on the app for 90 days after, they can continue to like maybe implement what you teach. And then they say, hey, Teryn, this happened. What do I do? They share a picture with you.
Mm-hmm.
Then not only you, but all the other artists that are on there can give their advice. Like, oh,
Right.
that happened, do this, that happened, do this. So everybody tries to help each other with everything.
Right.
So it's a really cool experience all the way around, I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think the excitement happens in the showroom, right?
Yeah.
On stage. That's where they see their
Mhm.
speakers that they admire. That's where they're learning. And that's where the excitement really happens. But you guys also provide, and I didn't want to leave this out because I think this is an important part of your conference. You also provide a really good vendor experience. And sometimes when you say the word vendor, they think, oh, a bunch of booths selling stuff. And yeah, I'm a vendor. We
Mhm.
have our booth and we have our products that we're selling. And all our us vendors, we're all friends. I get to see, the gal from New. I get to see Shara every year or 2 or 3 times a year at conferences. I get to see, the people at Ever After, Liz
Carol.
Cook, Carol,
Yeah.
Dazan,
Mhm.
Jake. I mean, all my pals
Yeah.
and that I've known for 15, 16 years. And there's a lot of beautiful things and beautiful moments that happen in that vendor room too at the booth, because the vendors are not there just to sell. Yeah, we're there to sell. We got our products, but we're also educating.
Mhm.
We get into deep, intimate conversations.
Right.
And I think that experience can be really meaningful to the attendee too. I think it can even be more, in some cases, more meaningful because you're in a one-on-one.
Right.
It's quiet,
Mhm.
and a lot of artists feel really comfortable like showing you their work, asking for advice, right?
And something that I think we've had to do is educate those coming to the conference that vendors are your friends.
Mhm.
We had some complaints at the beginning. We're like, why do you let the vendors get up and showcase their products in between our speakers? We said, because they have new products, better products. They want to share that with you. And so I kind of explained it in a different way, turned it around and said, you don't want to know the latest and greatest in the industry?
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay. And I go, yeah. And we just giving them 5 minutes, 10 minutes
Yeah.
at the most. And all they're saying is, this is what we've developed in this last year. Come by our booth and check it out if you're interested. So it's not a hard sell. It's not like they're there to force you to buy something. It's just, hey, this is the latest and greatest. Come by our booth if you have an interest. We'd be happy to share it with you. So it's a positive thing.
It is. And I think as a vendor, I'm an artist. I still see clients.
Right.
I'm a speaker at conferences and I'm a vendor. I have a booth. I have products to sell. And as a vendor, for us, it's networking. It's meeting new people and creating connections and then collaborations and community.
Yeah.
That's real. And you can't put a price. You cannot put a price on that.
I agree.
It's really, really important. So we never worry, are we going to make money? Are we going to profit? We don't look at conferences that way as a business owner. And maybe some people might think that's foolish, but we don't look at it as, are we going to sell enough to be profitable? And we look at it as we're setting up our booth and and then attracting people to our booth so we can get into conversation with them.
Right.
And we can see where they are in their journey. What are you struggling with? We educate a lot at our booth. And I know a lot of your other vendors do too, because I know them.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is for us and a lot of your vendors. So you guys do create a really great vendor room experience for the attendees, because not every vendor room is a good experience.
Yeah, I didn't know that because
in conferences.
I wasn't familiar, but I've heard some things, and I just pictured everybody's vendor room like ours. Like
it's not.
Yeah,
it's not. Yeah. So no, you're the way you set up your vendor room it's really, really good.
Yeah.
And it works for the attendee and the vendor. And
something else that we do is we try to include the vendors in our activities in the evenings. Mm-hmm. We don't realize how shy a lot of people are in this industry. So they're afraid to ask a question in front of a room with 500 people, 600 people. They're afraid to walk up to a vendor and ask questions because there's other people around and they might think it's a dumb question, or show their inexperience. So the fact that you're at the cocktail party, or you're in the limo tour, or you're doing different things with the attendees, it's easier to kind of, get close to someone at a cocktail party or at a dinner table and say, hey, I have this question, or you talked about this today in your presentation. I'm not sure about this, or I'm not sure about that. So we provide opportunities for networking, and this is great. That allows you to really make positive connections with those that are attending and with the speakers and the vendors.
Right. So let me ask you this. So we talked a little bit about, like, the economy and the average artist is kind of struggling right now. What other challenges do you see for the new artists coming into the PMU? We were just at a show. We were at the, I can't say it, IEC, I don't know, the big aesthetic show. Yeah. We were just there for 3 days, and a lot of newbies, a lot of brand new PMU artists at that show. And it was really interesting listening to their struggles and what they're finding. But what's interesting is they came into PMU with the idea they were going to make $100,000. Yeah. Starting out. So, that really started the conversation.
That's what I think is the biggest problem we see in the industry is all the advertisements you see on social media for coaching and training and advertising is, I'll get you to 100,000 in a month. And all of those that have been in the industry for 5, 7, 10 years know it takes hard work. It takes talent, time, and it takes time.
Years. Yeah.
It takes years to build up the clientele. So I think that's the biggest issue we see is people thinking that overnight they're going to be an instant success and either be perfect with their technique, know how to market perfectly, and enjoy the business. And make a ton of money. And all these goals are attainable, but you have to be realistic. You have to set a 12-month plan, a 24-month plan, a 36-month plan. That is realistic in obtaining those goals. But if you think you're going to do it overnight, yes, some people have done it. And yes, you see people on stage saying, I became a millionaire in a year, but that's not the norm.
Yeah. And Eric, it used to be a lot easier. Yeah. It's taking twice the length of time now to reach the same level you could reach in half the amount of time a few years back. It's harder nowadays. This is the conversations amongst artists on Facebook groups and at the convention that I was just at.
And it's a trickle down effect because we're talking about how the economy is tough for the PMU industry, but the economy has been tough for everyone in this country. Right. So if people now have a tighter budget, well, what things do they cut out? They can't cut out food. They can't cut out their car payment. They can't cut out their mortgage or their rent. So you know what? Maybe I'll just paint my eyebrows. Maybe I'll do my own lashes. Maybe I won't have this procedure that I wanted to have done. So that's the trickle down effect. So you have to now shine and learn the latest techniques, learn the latest marketing, learn how to interact with clients, because you can have the best marketing, be great at what you do, but if you're not comfortable talking to a client, if you're not comfortable asking for the sell, or if you push too hard, you're going to scare them away.
Right.
So there's so many facets of this where you can do great and shine, or you can mess it up and cause yourself clients and money.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about a conference is you come in and you learn a little bit from each one. And I always say, every industry has trade shows, continuing education, conferences that you have to go to stay in the game. My thought is most of the ones I've attended are 90% fluff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you can focus on that and be miserable, or you can focus on I learned 3 things that I'm going to implement and that are going to help me tremendously.
Right.
So although we strive not to have fluff.
I was going to say ours are not 90% fluff though.
No,
but
not at all.
Still, you have to focus on, this is great. I'm going to use this. Write it down and implement it. Or that's something I hadn't thought about. I'm going to start doing this.
Well, you guys even require, you even require your attendees to sit in that lecture.
Yeah.
The entire lecture to earn their certificate.
Yeah.
That's how serious you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's how responsible you are as conference owners. So you can totally, and that's what Kat and I was talking about just a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I've come across there may be other conferences that do that. I don't want to say there's no other conferences, but I personally haven't come across a conference where the conference owners require you to sit in there the entire lecture in order to earn those credits in that particular certificate.
Yeah, because you had to attend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you had to attend it. And I think it's respectful to the speaker too, Melissa. It's respectful to the speaker who worked a minimum of 6 months on that lecture, that PowerPoint, practiced her lecture, nervous as hell, probably fighting anxiety to walk up those steps to get on that stage. Yeah. And to have people get up and leave and
I think that's a new trend that's happening. It's like the concerts where they have multiple stages and you go to see the artist you want to see. I think that's kind of filtering into some conferences, but I have heard, trainers complain because, like you said, they're in the middle of their presentation. They took all this time and they start seeing people get up. So immediately, as a speaker, your mind's, is this bad? Do they not like it? Why are they leaving? Yeah. It's very disruptive. So we are very mindful of our trainers to make it respectful. But at the same time, I will say, everybody who comes, I've never had one person complain they had to stay because it's so interesting. Right. They don't feel like, this is, like in school, this is going to be boring. How am I going to make it through this? It's so interesting and it flies by so fast. And then last year, I think you were there and I emailed you about it. We implemented where live attendees get tattoo pens and latex and ink. So they get to work along with a lot of the presentations where it's applicable. Not every presentation would it work, but they get to work along with the trainers as they're showing them these techniques that they're teaching. And that made it fun. Everyone loved it. That was the feedback we got. Anything interactive is fun. Well, I got to tattoo a live eyeliner. Yeah, that was fun too. It was so much fun. I get off on that. Yeah. It's probably my most favorite thing to do. Yeah. Is to sit and tattoo a procedure with a bunch of people watching and field questions. And, it was really fun. And you had, I was right across from Lexi Bauer. And, this girl was over here and that artist was over there. Was a lot. I can't remember all the artists now. But I remember Lexi being right across from me. And she's so sweet. She's so sweet and she's so talented. Yeah. But there were just big groups of people at every station and they were just walking around and they couldn't, they couldn't walk fast. They wanted to you saw them just wanting to get everything in. Yeah. And it was exciting. Yeah. Because I think it's really exciting for an artist to watch an artist they admire actually tattoo a procedure live. And I think it's a little fun for them to watch us do it under a little pressure. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It is, it really is. It's like one of those cooking shows where you've got a competition going and you've got to get something done in a specific amount of time. Yeah. And that's what the PMU show was, is, you have different groups at different times and you can walk around and see and learn. And it's exciting. That's probably my favorite day as well. It really, those are the days, Eric, the moments where every one of us, believe me, before we hit it, we're like, a little prayer. Yeah. Please let the skin tattoo. Okay. Please let me be on point. Yeah. Please let the model show up on time. Let the model show up. Please let this be one of my best procedures ever. Yeah. And you're doing it, for those that are listening, Teryn's doing it again this year. I am doing it again this year. And I think people get confused. Some people that were new last year, the PMU show is Sunday. It's half day. And we have 2 sessions of 10 to 12 masters doing live demos. So some of our speakers do it in addition to even more masters that we invite.
Yeah.
So it's
October 6th through 9th.
Yeah,
and the 6th is a Sunday.
Yeah, the
correct?
6th is the PMU show. So registration at 1, PMU show starts at 2, and then we have a pre-conference cocktail party for everybody that night. So some people got confused last year when they got there because, overwhelmed, they're a little nervous, and they thought, wait, am I learning? Because I can't learn all this at once. And I said, oh, no. This is just like a show of you getting exposed to a lot of masters, but the actual step-by-step learning is Monday to Wednesday.
Right.
But we implemented the PMU show last year new too. That was something new that we hadn't done. And we did it the year before Monday night to test it, like for 2 hours. And then everyone loved it so much that last year we made it a whole half day. He wanted to make it like like days. And I'm like, no, we can't do that. It's too much because of all the health permits and organizing.
Right.
There's so much involved in live work when you have an audience, and especially
I don't think
if
people
it's,
realize.
if it's
No,
not in
they
your
don't.
studio, it's in
You
the
have to
shop.
have permits. Like, the health district comes
Well, even
in.
the health department made you get a permit on me.
Yeah,
and
all
I've
of
got
you.
my tattoo
Yes.
license here.
You have to have a temporary, and then they come in and inspect the room.
Oh, of course
and
they
if
do.
it's not right, they won't pass, and then we can't start.
Yes. And they've
So-
gotten stricter. Have you noticed
Yes,
that? The last
yes.
couple of years,
Yeah.
they've really gotten a lot stricter.
I'm thankful I have my contact. She's still there, Bonnie.
Oh, I
super
love
sweet.
Bonnie.
Yeah.
Bonnie's so sweet.
So-
She's been there for years and years and years and years.
She's sweet. So,
Yes.
But that's another thing that makes a challenging aspect, I will say, of hosting the conferences is we implemented that because, like I said before, we want everyone to have a really good experience and love it and have the most value. But every time we do add something, it's a lot more work on us.
Yeah. I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Because you never know what to expect with a live event like that from any conference. But it was really well done. It was really well done. It was super organized. Yeah, I think you had a little bar in there too.
Yeah, champagne.
Where they
did,
could
yeah.
get a little glass of champagne. They loved it. And there was a line. I mean, the line was long and massive to get in. So, in the excitement, I walked down the line and did a little video.
Oh, you did?
I
Oh, that's
did.
cool.
And they were asking how excited they were to get in there. Everybody was like, they were just freaking
We
out.
were just waiting for the health district. That's why.
Yeah, is that what it was?
Yeah, that's why.
And then you get in and did you have like 10 artists set up
12.
at different, 12 artists set up in different areas in the room. It was a rather large room. And they just walk from station to station watching really great artists tattoo a particular procedure. And I think that was great. And that starts off that's the kickoff.
Right.
They start with that. And then that night is a cocktail party. And then the next day
8
is
a.m.
8 a.m. It's really early, Melissa.
I
Maybe
know.
next year might consider
I know.
9.
We just can't fit everybody in. We just keep adding people, and Eric's like, start at 9. I'm like, we can't
That
now.
might be the only thing that people might be bitching a little
I
bit.
know.
Like 8 a.m.
I
roll
know.
call in the morning.
I know.
Yes.
My response is always, tell me which artist to cut out, and we'll start at
Yeah.
9:30.
Right.
And so no, that's fine. Leave it at 8.
Yeah,
Because
it's just we just don't. We
every
would like to
artist
have
is so
more. Even
important.
we want to. And actually, bringing that up, we would love to have more. There's so many. We just can't incorporate everybody. So we've added more people online on the app. So we added Christina Malachenko.
Oh, yeah. She's
Lexi
awesome.
Bowler,
She's been a good friend for a long time.
Claire Rosenberg. They're all going to present online. So people get access to the app 2 weeks before it starts.
Okay.
So they get to start watching all the online presentations we added. And they get to start meeting each other, networking. A lot of people make arrangements to sit together. They make arrangements to go see shows together. So when they get there, it's like this ambience, like it's not like nerves and no one knows anybody. It's like really warm. Everybody's already kind of talked to each other. They've made arrangements to sit together. So that's another cool feature. We're probably going to add even more online. We're talking to more people. But it's not only the 26 presentations they see, they get to see even more before they get there.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, what makes, there's a lot of choices, right, for conferences. And so I was going to ask you what makes your conference different, but through this whole conversation, I mean, you're telling them what makes your conference different. Yeah. But if I was to ask you like 2 things that makes your conference different than all the other conferences, what would those 2 things be?
I think number 1, it's family owned and run. All of the people the staff that are there are our friends.
Like your bestie.
Yeah, Nina.
And isn't she the one that introduced you?
No,
to him?
she's not. But we've known her since we were teenagers.
Okay.
Yeah, she's been a local Vegas native. So we have all of our staffs there. But because they're our friends and family, they want it to be successful too. So I think that does trickle down to the customer service you're
Well,
getting.
there's a big difference. Like when a company is like corporate owned or family owned,
Yeah.
it's a big difference.
Because
And
we care if it's successful and we want it to
exactly.
be. And they want us to be successful.
Right.
And then on top of that, I just lost my train of thought. And we host conferences because we like it. We love Vegas. We love people coming and we like helping people.
And you do love it.
Yeah.
Conference putter honor
Mm-hmm.
to conference owner, current conference. It is a lot of work. It consumes you.
Mm-hmm.
And not only is it a lot of work, it costs a lot
Mm-hmm.
of money. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And it's money up front.
Right.
And I don't know if people
non-refundable deposits.
Non-refundable. And I don't know if people really understand the level of financial commitment
Yeah, I don't think
like
so.
you two make, because I can imagine, I know what the golden nugget cost us, what we had to put up front. And then, 6 weeks later, you got to put another. I'll tell you what our party cost, since we're years out and it's been a long time since we did it. But we threw a party at the golden nugget, and that cost us $23,000 for 4 hours.
And that's good.
I know.
More.
I would never.
Way more.
Yeah, and I would never ask
makes
you.
you
That's
wanna
so
faint.
uncouth.
Yeah.
But
That's actually, I wish we could pay 20.
yes, and imagine I'm a little, just
Yeah.
me. It was like our third one, and it was like 23.
But it does make you want to faint. I mean, when you
It makes you're writing out a check
Yeah,
for 23,000. Well, the checks were way bigger than that, just to
deposit the room.
the deposit of the golden nugget space. So I can only imagine, and I can imagine because I've done it on a smaller scale downtown Las Vegas. I know the financial commitment you put into this conference, and I applaud you because it's scary.
It is scary. And I appreciate that you bring that up because I don't think people realize the commitment we're making. That's why when people register, we were like, we want to make sure you're committed.
Yes.
Because we're doing everything based on you committing to come. And then not only that with the Cosmo, but we do the nightly VIP events, which you're going to be taking a part of. But we rent limos. We take them to a photo ops on the Strip. We take them to another hotel for a gourmet dinner.
So I don't know if they know that, but you're taking them in limos.
Yeah,
and,
the VIPs.
The VIPs.
And the train and the speakers.
Has that package sold out?
We have 12 tickets left, I think.
12 tickets left, you guys.
Yeah.
And
everybody says they got more than they thought and that it was much more included than they thought.
well, and you have a surprise because I
we
think
do
you
surprises.
Yeah, you told me not to tell anybody, so I'm not going to say it. But it's a
We
really
add
big
even
surprise.
More. Yeah, we add even more that they don't expect. So that's what makes it nice. They get there and then they're pleasantly surprised with even more things.
Well, the one surprise you told me that you are doing for the VIPs, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to freak out.
Yeah.
They're
They
going to
do
freak
every
out.
time. They do every time. They don't expect it.
And
And
they'll
that's what helps with being natives, I guess we could say.
Because you know all the little, you have
Eric has
connections,
yeah.
and all the little perks.
Known
And you got
people here.
connections, Eric.
Yeah.
The nice things that you can
Yeah.
do in Vegas if you know some guy.
Yeah. He knows a guy.
I know a guy.
He knows a few guys.
But no, it's a lot of fun. And yet, not many, but some people will say, I bought this level ticket and it's just so much. And I said, well, how much did you pay for a drink last night at the Chandelier bar? Like $32. I'm like, great. How much do you think I'm paying for your cup of coffee or for your lunch?
Yeah.
If you paid $32 for a cocktail, lunch isn't $30.
No.
I mean, you're paying
per person minimum.
and on top of that, you have, the tax, and they tack on a 33% service fee.
Yes.
Yeah, the
So,
service fees here are crazy.
30%.
30%.
No, I think they upped it to 36. Remember they
so
sent
if
an
something
addendum.
is $100, I'm literally paying $140, $150 for something, and that's across the board. Audiovisual charges a 25% surcharge.
Yeah,
which is
it is crazy, and I think it's, and I'm glad I wanted to bring this up because I think it's important that the industry and attendees know because what it takes, not just the physical labor and and the planning and everything that you have to give up in your personal life to make this happen on the level that it happens. But it's the financial commitment, which is crazy. And there's not a lot of people, you guys, willing to do that.
Right.
They're too afraid of losing. They're not willing to do it. And yet you two are year after year after year after year. So I guess what I would say, everybody coming, eat your lunch. Whatever you put on your plate, you remember what your parents used to say, eat it. Yeah. Don't waste anything. Yeah, because it costs a lot. And show up for lunch. And show up for lunch because it's so expensive. Yeah. But
it is good food. It's one of the top gourmet restaurants, you know, the hotels. But it is really good food. But yeah, I mean, we have fun. And every year we're like, do you want to do it next year? And we talk. And we're like, yeah, that's fun. Let's do it again. And every year we just kind of regroup and see. And then I think too, we don't have any ulterior motives. You know, we're not vendors.
You don't have an agenda.
We don't coach. We don't do coaching. We don't sell anything. So I'm not trying to get you there to try to sell you at the end or, you know, any.
Well, a lot of conferences do have agendas.
Yeah, we
do. You know? Yeah. No. But conferences like that, I don't think they last. They don't have the staying power. I think when a conference like yours, you're on your 8th year, you don't go 8 years and be as successful as you have been if you have an agenda. Well, you do have an agenda. Your agenda is to educate, you know, entertain, and make sure everybody that buys a ticket is happy and has the best permanent makeup experience of their life. So much so they want to come back and do it all over again at your conference at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas.
And we have people that have been coming back since 2020. And even one attendee in 2020, he now spoke, because you were saying you watch and you want to see and you want to speak. Yeah. And he spoke last year at the conference.
Do you remember who that was?
Richard Doheny.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, he's amazing with the male masculine lips and the brows. Yeah. Amazing person. And he was such a nice guy in 2020 on the app. Super thankful, sent me so many nice messages. Wound up collaborating with other trainers, other masters, and now he's huge in Dubai. And he wound up being a speaker last year. And so we got to meet in person. Super cool. But that's the things I love. Those are the experiences that are so neat to see. Or we had Taylor. She attended in 2021, 24, went back, implemented everything she learned. And I think she's opening up her second salon now. Wow.
Yeah, she was late teens, early 20s, and came to our conference, and then came the following year. By the following year, she had her own salon. Yeah. And then the year after, I think she opened up her second salon. And this is somebody that's in their early 20s. So it's so nice to see success on that level. And then we had another attendee. She came VIP, and her husband didn't think she could do it. He was supportive, but he just said, you know, kind of limit your expectations. Right. So she didn't have a lot of faith in herself. She was older and just said, I think I got into this too late. So she came 2022, and it was kind of the shot in the arm that she needed. She came again 2023, and I said, hey, how are you doing? I said, remember last year how I was working out of my garage? I said, yes, I've got 2 studios now. One's open and one's about to open next month.
That's fantastic. So how good does that feel?
In 1 year. Yeah. So I actually made her call her husband, and I got him on the phone, and I said, what did I tell you was going to happen if you supported your wife? And he said, you're right.
And another cool thing that happens, I don't know if you remember Laura from last year, because of the app, because we get to share and talk through there too, people were sharing their experiences to us the first day they got there. And she actually trains girls coming out of foster care or jail.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you remember her?
Yeah. I think we ended up working with her.
Yeah. And that was cool too, because she shared her experience, how she helps these girls at almost no cost. She's not making money, but she wants them to have a skill when they get out, because they come out and they don't have anywhere to go. They don't have family. They don't have a job. Right. So she spends her time trying to teach them this skill. So as soon as Eric shared, it gives me the chills. As soon as Eric shared that from the stage, because he did share it, everybody jumped on the bandwagon. All the vendors, attendees, artists. How can we help? What can we contribute?
Got everything shipped to El Paso, and then took it in, loaded a full van with everything that the vendors and attendees donated to her, and then drove all the way down to Mexico City.
Isn't that great? Yeah, no, I totally remember her. We donated, and we had communication after.
She's coming again this year.
Is she coming again?
And she's bringing, great. I think, 3 or 4 people with her, so you'll see her. But those are the amazing stories that we get to hear that makes us love doing the conferences. Yeah, it's for those. I guess that's our agenda. It's just to hear the feedback of how everybody was helped and that they benefited and that they learned and they.
Well, isn't it crazy, Melissa, how like a conference, because you guys get what, 500-600 attendees.
That's live, and then another usually 300.
Yeah, that's online, a big conference. But And when you go in there, yeah, you can see that it's a big conference. You see all the people, but it doesn't have the feeling of a big conference.
Yeah.
It has that intimacy and that warm feeling of a small conference.
I think so too.
It really, really does, because some conferences are very cliquey. Some conferences you go to, it's I don't know. It's just they're not as warm. And yours was really warm. So let me ask you this: how do you pick your speakers?
Yeah, it's a combination of things. So it can come off referrals.
Okay.
Like you or another, Carol, another master, they recommend them. A big way is through our daughters. Now both of our daughters do permanent makeup, my oldest and my middle daughter. And, they're the younger generation, more trending. I'm not going to say how old we are, but we're getting older. So they've also followed girls they admire. And they're like, Mom, look at her work. Look at her. She's amazing, from other countries. Experience, obviously, technique, how many people they've trained, and their results. But we take all that into consideration when we evaluate somebody. So, it's not just one thing, it's a combination of things. But every year, everyone we've invited, everyone's loved. They've been more than willing to help. They all have that same attitude of helping others. And we've had really good, I don't think we've ever had any speaker we've invited in all these 8 years that we were like, oh, they were terrible, or I didn't like her, or she was awful. Not yet.
Everybody's been great, and personality for me is a big thing. It's an industry where people are very talented, and some have done incredibly well, very successful. So it's understandable that you have some divas because they're so good at what they do, and they have such a huge following, and they're wildly successful. But to me, that's kind of a turnoff. If you have that type of personality where you're, I'm better than everybody else, and you will bow down to me, that's not the people we bring. I much rather bring somebody that can, sit down and just talk to somebody that is not a VIP or is not a vendor or is not huge in the industry. They'll take the time to talk to the little guy that's just starting out. To me, that's much more important. And I think you see that our speakers, they all hang out afterwards. They're talking to the crowd. They're talking to themselves, to the vendors, to other speakers. They're just there to have a good time. And that's what the personality that they have. And that in turn turns the personality that our conference has.
Right. And I think also what helps is Eric's the MC.
You're a good MC.
Yeah,
thank you.
I think that gives the warm feeling, because he's not somebody we just hired from a company.
Right.
He's like part of the owner. Yeah. So sometimes I have to reel it down. Like no.
And that came about by accident. We had.
Well, you seem really comfortable up there.
Oh, he is.
We had professional MCs the first 2 or 3 years, and we were never really happy with.
Well, sometimes they're a little too cheerleady, or I don't know, right?
Don't know.
They're not in it.
They're not in it. Yeah.
We just weren't happy with the results. So finally, I think 2021, we simply got overlooked, and then we're 30 days out, and I'm calling people, and everybody's booked, or they can't do it. So we're sitting around the dinner table, and said, I think I'm just going to have to do it. And my daughter Sabrina is like, Dad, you're going to do great. Just don't be you.
Don't be you.
What do you mean? Because don't tell your jokes.
Yeah, don't tell the corny dad jokes.
Yeah, right.
And he did. He did tell some corny jokes, but some people thought it was funny.
Well, everybody sitting in there has a dad, probably,
And some of them were funny.
I think. Are you going to keep the beard?
I think so.
Are you going to keep the beard? Because last year I don't think you had a beard.
No,
I think this is a new look for you, Eric.
It is.
Yeah.
Do you like it or no?
Yeah. Well, I like it.
Yeah. People now confuse me for Melissa's dad. So
no,
that I don't like.
I like it. I told him.
You do like it?
You
do like it?
I like him with the beard, but I like it a little shorter. It's a little.
I was just going to say maybe it's starting to get a little fluffy.
It is. He needs
a little fluffy.
Yeah. I was going for the ZZ Top.
Yeah, a little fluffy.
I told him you need to get a haircut. He didn't have time to get one before we came on, but he'll get one.
I'll trim it for the conference.
For Melissa and Teryn. Yeah, girl, I think the attendees would appreciate it. A little bit of a closer, a little fluffy ear.
Yeah, he's a little.
But I do like it. I do like it.
You.
I do like it a lot. Yeah,
it does change his look a lot, though.
It does. Yeah,
he has a completely different look with it.
Yeah,
I know he looks a little mean. I like it.
It makes it look a little mean.
I like the.
Is this the first time he's had a beard in your relationship?
Where he's kept it. Yeah, he's done goatees. He'll usually do beards on vacations and then shave it again.
I could ask you about kissing him with a beard and the whole hair, but we won't get into that. Yeah, we won't get into that. I have a really good friend whose husband just grew a beard.
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God.
I'll tell you, the growing out parts is a little spiky, but when it gets longer like this, it's softer.
It's softer. It's good.
Yeah. So tell her maybe he needs to get a little longer.
Or some beard oil.
Beard oil. That's amazing.
Yeah. You have to. Guys have to put the beard oil and moisturize.
She's always telling me, like, stop touching it. Stop playing with it.
Yeah, he's constantly doing the petting.
Well, look. What I wanted to say about your speakers, or talk about just for a second, is, and this topic came up not too long ago on a Facebook group, a big Facebook group with like thousands of people, and they were talking about how conferences have gone corporate. And it was a little bit of an angry post. Yeah. But I was surprised there was like over 150 comments on it.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of people were agreeing that that's a lot of the conferences, or they're seeing a trend with conferences that are becoming very corporate, like corporate sponsored. And it's the same speakers, and they're only on there because sponsorship, I guess, to promote product. And so if anybody is wondering that about your conference, that is not your conference at all. Mm-mm. I love the way you do your speakers. And I mean that because I met Kendra Neal for the first time at your, was she at? Yeah, I think it was, is that her name? I might be saying the wrong name, but she was a young artist. She may be 4 or 5 years in. Yeah. And she did a brow. And lots of speakers, lots of artists that get up on your stage are certainly not sponsored. No. They got there because, well, either your daughter was attracted to their skill and their technique. Mm-hmm. Or they earned it. They caught your eye somehow through their skill, through the way they educate, the way they relate to people, the way they speak to people,
and reviews from people.
And reviews from people. Mm-hmm. So I like that. And you do. I think you have a perfect mix, because I don't think a successful conference should be all corporate. Right. But I think the mix is good. I think having corporate involved and having some corporate speakers or sponsored speakers is really, really good for the industry and good for the attendees. I think it's the balance, the mix of both.
Sure. And you need the big companies in the industry to be there and show what they're doing, their innovations, the new products. That's an important part of it, so everybody can be up to speed on what's going on in the industry. But that's very different than, yes, I'll sponsor your conference if I can have 2 speakers that I choose.
Right. We actually don't have any of those.
That's what they were talking about.
That's what's going on. Yeah. So, yes, I'll sponsor, or yes, I'll attend and purchase a booth and showcase my products, but I need these 2 speakers to speak at your conference.
So that's why I think it's important to support conferences like yours, the Vegas PMU Conference, because that's not what you're doing.
We don't have any of those.
No, and I applaud that, Melissa, because you could easily do that. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you'd make a lot more money. Right. I'm sure a lot less money would come out of your pocket. Right. It'd be a lot less. You'd have a lot less, financial liability on the table, and it might make your life a little easier. Mm-hmm. But you don't do that. And that's what I really, really respect about you guys, because you hold it in a big, beautiful, venue like the Cosmopolitan. And I see what you put into the conference and how elegant it is. And it's a high level, elegant conference, just as elegant as the European conferences that we're seeing that are highly sponsored. I think yours is just as elegant and just as classy and just as amazing, without having to go down that route of being, totally corporate. Yeah. And you do invite, big company. You do have the big companies there, and everybody wants to see, some of these big companies, because you're right, Eric. They're the ones that are pushing innovation. They're the ones that have the means to do that.
Right.
And that's whose products you're using.
We're using,
Yeah.
And it's exciting to see your favorite manufacturer
Of course.
at a booth, especially if they're the face of the company. You get to go up to the
Sure.
booth and meet them maybe for the first time. Oh my God, I use your machine, or
Right.
I use your pigment. It's exciting for the attendees. So I really respect that about you, and I really applaud that. And that's why, I encourage people to support, if they're attendee goers, if they're choosing their conferences this year, then to choose the Vegas PMU Conference, because you guys are family owned. You're not corporate sponsored.
We don't have any other agendas.
You have no agendas.
No, none.
And that's hard to find. That's hard to
Yeah.
find in this industry today, I
Yeah.
feel.
I agree.
And a lot of the conferences that we're trying to keep your model, they're leaving us.
Yeah.
They're leaving us,
And a big part of our focus is also on having fun, having a good time. And when I launch the conference the first day, I always tell people 80% of the experience you have is your attitude. So
Right.
if you come to have fun, to network, to put your shyness away and just say hi to everybody around you, get to know them, talk to them, you're going to have an amazing experience. If you stay in your bubble, if you stay in your shell, then you're not going to make the most of the
Right.
conference, and you're going to walk away saying, I expected more, or I could have gotten more out
Right.
of this. So it's always important the first day to just say, okay, I'm going to say hi, make eye contact to everybody I
Yeah.
come across.
Yeah.
Even if I'm uncomfortable, I am going to say, hi, how are you? Where are you from?
Right.
And that's what leads to the friends, to the networking, to the
Yeah.
relationships, and you're going to just have a blast.
Well, and that's where you and your team are really good too. And I think a lot of the vendors that go to your event are really good. I know when we see someone walking and they're shy, and you can tell they kind of want to come up, but
Yeah.
they're shy. I mean, I'm one of the first ones to say, hey,
Yeah.
how you doing? Come on up. You got
Yeah.
a question? What do you want? You want to come on up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on over.
Yeah.
And I see Sherrod does it. You got a lot of really super friendly people that,
Well, they care too.
of
Just like
course they
us.
care.
You guys all care.
Yeah.
I think that's why the ambience is what it is.
Right.
Because everyone we invite, all the trainers we've invited, like I said, up till now, they've all had that same goal as us,
Right.
is to help people. And talking what Eric was talking about, there was a young girl, we got a testimonial that she was young, and she did a testimonial, and she's like, I was scared and I was nervous, but I did it. I came here by myself. I did it. And she started crying
Oh,
because she got out of her bubble. She came and she was like, and next year I'm coming VIP, and it was amazing, but she implemented what we said. And I think that's another thing too, is you'll see a lot of attendees that are newer. Now we have experienced, middle, new, all attend. Is a lot of times I think I see, and you might experience this too, is they will just learn and not implement because they're afraid.
Right.
They're fearful of making
Right.
a mistake or starting, or
Right.
what if I mess up somebody? And that's what's cool about a lot of the masters, is they'll share their experiences. They didn't start off like they are.
Right.
They all made mistakes too. And so I think they can get, the people who feel that way get that little push, like, okay, I need to start implementing. I have a support group. I have people I can go to if I have a question, or if something happens I don't understand. And so I think it helps them get over that hump and like, okay, I'm going to implement and start, implementing what I learned.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because what we do is hard.
Yeah.
Everybody that tattoos,
Yeah.
eyebrows, eyeliner, lips, 3D areolas, SM, whatever, our procedures are, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. We're tattooing faces.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of courage.
Oh,
It takes
absolutely.
a lot of courage for someone to decide, this is what I want to do, to go learn it, and to actually do it.
On somebody's face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It takes a lot of courage.
Right.
And it's really important to build a support team, a network around you. And there's a lot of artists, you guys, that are in small towns.
Right.
And they're isolated in their cities or their small towns, and they don't live around any other permanent makeup artists. And maybe, they took a class, and after they took the class, their mentor abandoned them. That happens a lot.
Right.
And so little things, just little things like this little podcast,
Right.
can really make a difference
Yeah.
in an artist's life.
Yep.
And the bigger things like your event, your conference, can make a big difference
Yeah.
in the life of a single artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we love seeing it every year.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah,
I know you do.
it's
So I'm
amazing.
super excited.
Every year there's stories like Laura's. Like
Yeah.
there's many more. I could go on and on,
Yeah.
but I won't. But it's amazing.
It is amazing.
And another big plus for us is seeing how our daughters have done in the industry. You see their growth. Both our daughters started at 18, which, you know, I'm in my 50s and I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. But to see them just so dedicated, so determined, and to reach the level of success that they have at a young age,
Right.
As parents, I mean, it's the best that you can expect.
Mm-hmm.
And I was against my oldest daughter. She started in the industry. I
So let
wanted
me
her.
ask you, because you said that earlier on the podcast, and what? Because my dad was too 22 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was. I wouldn't say he wasn't supportive. My dad would support me in anything.
Skeptical.
Yeah, he didn't really want me to do it. He was kind of skeptical.
Mhm.
He didn't think I could make a living at it.
That's the
And
Was that your thing?
exactly. And it was, you know what? You need a college education. You
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
do, even if it's, you know, so you can handle your business better or finances. You need that education and that time to grow and that structure. And Melissa disagreed. She said, you know what? Let them do what they want to do. If they don't do well, or if they figure out they don't like it, they're young.
yeah. She's
They
young.
can start
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm in my third career. Melissa's also, you know, done different things in the past. So we've learned and switched
Right.
and pivoted. So I said, okay, I'll agree to this. You don't have to go to college, but if in 1 year you don't love it, or you don't think you're successful at it, promise me that you'll consider going back to school.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, okay, Dad, I promise. If in a year I see that it's not for me, or I'm not enjoying it, or I'm not loving it, I'll change and I'll go back to school. So she started, and we just saw her.
She probably knew immediately.
She
Eric.
loved
Yeah.
it. And
She
she was
loved
good
it.
at it.
Yeah.
You know, some artists, it takes them a year or two
Yeah.
to perfect their
And
technique.
that's okay.
And that's okay.
Yep.
That's normal. It takes, you know, about 2 years in any trade to become really good at it, longer to be a master. But Sabrina she had the
She
gift.
just took
She's
to
a
it.
very
was
good
obsessed
artist.
with
Yeah,
eyebrows.
yeah.
So she was like
Yeah.
13.
So let me ask: Does she do eyeliner or
no,
lips? Right?
she doesn't do eyeliner.
Melissa,
Her main thing.
Melissa,
I know.
you know I'm gonna tell you.
I know.
You know.
I try to tell her.
She gotta get on that eyeliner.
She does mostly brows. She does freckles. Sophia, our other daughter, does lips.
Okay.
And brows.
So
and
neither one of them
areola.
do eyeliner.
I know.
I'm gonna give him a little shit
I
when I
know.
see him at the
Yeah,
conference.
Do.
Please do.
Yeah.
Because I tell him the same. I'm like,
Well, you know what it is? It's a big void because you know there's so many brow artists.
I know.
Everybody's doing brows. Some of them, and it's pretty saturated. There's a lot of brow artists. Some of them have moved over into lips, but there's this massive
Yeah.
void and gap for
And-
really good artists.
And as a
Do it
dad,
on.
you
I
know,
agree.
I think my main focus was, were they going to be financially successful? Were they going to be financially stable? And I grew to realize the main focus or what I should want for my kids and all of us should is, are they happy? Do they love what they're
Yeah.
doing? Because how many people are doing great financially, but,
And yeah.
they
But they're
hate
not
going to
happy.
work.
yeah.
So, and now I've learned, if you love what you do, success will follow,
Yes.
because you're going to work every day, you're loving it, you're happy, people see that you enjoy what
Yeah.
you do, and success is a byproduct of that. You're going to do incredibly well.
I agree.
And the finances will come. So that part of it is I'm glad I listened to Melissa and let my girls do what they wanted to do, and they're doing great.
That's fantastic to hear. I love it. I love it.
But
can't-
I'm definitely going to tell him to speak to you about the eyeliner because I agree.
Well, make sure they stop by my live demo station
I know.
because I'm
I
doing
know.
high saturation eyeliner again this year. Yes.
And Sophie, by nature, is an artist, and she draws amazing, and she draws faces amazing. She can draw a face. So.
This is my philosophy. This is what I tell all artists, you know, at all these, every time I'm, you know, around a bunch of artists and they all say, no, they don't do eyeliner. It's because they're afraid.
Yeah.
They're afraid you can run the eye. But I've done over 6,000
Yeah.
eyeliners. It's like my gym. I'm like, weren't you, when you sat down to do your first set of brows, weren't you scared to death? Yes. It's the same thing with eyeliner.
Yeah.
By your 10th brow, weren't you, maybe you weren't 100% confident, you know,
Mhm.
but you were feeling a little more settled and a little more confident, not as scared. Yes. Same thing with eyeliner.
Right.
It's the same thing with eyeliner. And I book almost as many eyeliners, my studio eyeliners, as we do eyebrows.
I'm sure.
And most I would say 80% of clients, if they're getting their eyebrows done with you, they're going to get their eyeliner, and maybe not a thick eyeliner, maybe even just a lash enhancement, like a top lash enhancement, which, takes you 30 minutes and looks beautiful on every single woman should have a top lash enhancement.
It does make a huge difference.
It's a huge difference, and it's just so flattering, and it can be subtle. Those lash enhancements are subtle and just gives that little pop to the eye. So when you wake up in the morning, So I just think I would love to see more art. We need more skilled artists learning eyeliner. And if you learn from the right artist, then the journey to beautiful eyeliner is not as scary. Right. If you learn,
you have the support.
Because you have the support. They're going to teach you the do's and the don'ts and straight away. And they're going to teach you, they're not going to hold back. They're going to teach you everything they've come to learn about eyeliner. And they're going to be there with you every step of the way.
And I think people forget that if you have a good teacher, even after the class, when you're implementing, they're going to help you.
They're definitely
not going to just leave you.
No. A good teacher, a good human does not.
Right.
It does not.
Yeah.
I think that's a reflection of
absolutely
the person. So I mean, I think if you're a good trainer, then your joy comes from watching your students flourish and evolve and get to those beautiful procedures. That's where your joy comes. Sometimes that's what gets you up the very next day. Do you know what I mean? You can have the shittiest day. I mean, really, the business side of things can get to all of you, and then I'll get a DM. You get a DM, you get a voice message, you get an email, you get this, and it's about your class. Or they send you a picture of their 9th eyeliner, and it's that erases that whole bad day you had. Do you know? And reminds you why you're here and why you became a trainer in the first place.
It's appreciated, and
100%, 100%,
and that you make a difference.
Yes. And I won't be able to do eyeliners and brows and lips, forever. Every artist is going to age out. You get to a certain age where you lose your precision. You lose that. It's going to happen for every artist, every single artist. And so, it's like your legacy. That's how I feel. It's important. It's important to teach and mentor others to success, not just while they're in that classroom, but to success during their journey. It's important.
Absolutely.
So, and you guys are playing a role in that too with your convention.
I think we get the same. We feel the same. We don't follow maybe through the journey like you as a trainer, but like I said, getting the emails, I still get them. Thanking me. We had a girl who won a class, said, "Thank you so much. It was the best class. I can't believe this." And I love it. And like you said, it comes the times I think when you need it, where you're just stressed out or you just had a bad day. It's like, why am I doing this? Should I be doing this?
Well, because not every day's fun.
No, it's not for anybody. And then you get the email, you get the DM, like, look what they said. This is so nice. So, no, I think it's definitely a great environment to be in, and in every area of the field, they're gonna learn every single area of the industry.
Yes. Well, I'm excited. So if you're on the fence, you got to go to the PMU, Vegas PMU Conference, Cosmopolitan, October 6th through 9th. 12 VIP tickets left, did you say? So they're almost out.
Yeah, we always sell out of VIP before.
And you always before. And I think your conference pretty much sells out at this point, right? So, and I'm actually speaking. So I'm doing the eyeliner demo, and this year
she's doing the demo. She's a vendor.
I'm a vendor, and I'm speaking.
So
I know I am speaking, and I'm working on my lecture right now, and it's different.
And it's a much needed topic.
It's a much needed topic, and it morphed into something I never expected.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've been working on it almost every day.
Amazing.
Yes, so I'm really super. I will be debuting it.
Oh, that's awesome.
At your conference. I have a couple private classes that I get to give it in just to run it by. Get feedback and maybe fine tune it before I bring it to your audience. But I'm super excited.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's crazy how much preparation goes into a 45-minute, a 1 hour presentation. People think, hey, I'll get this ready the weekend before. and it's months of trial and error, and putting things in and taking them out and changing, tweaking them. So we really appreciate the hard work that our trainers put in.
Yeah.
Because they're all spot on. I mean, we've all been to trade shows and events where the person up there is just, you can tell they didn't put in the time.
Or they're selling. They're just selling.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know?
And I'm always amazed by just the caliber of learning that is provided. And kudos to the speakers, because that means they took their responsibility seriously, and not just for themselves, but for everyone there. Just amazing speakers.
Well, because like Teryn said, everyone we've chosen so far, they truly care about the artist learning. They're not selling, like you were saying.
No, they're not
truly
selling.
Want them to learn. And then, from there, whatever collaborations or friendships are made, so be it. That's a part of a conference too. But they really provide a lot of value in that hour and a half that they speak.
Yeah, and I know they're all like me. They're trying to get as much in. I think you gave me 90 minutes, Melissa. Thank you very much. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, I owe you.
Yeah.
But it's not a wasted 90 minutes. I mean, I'm bringing my best. I really am bringing my best. This lecture is it's different. It's different. It's really different, and it's profound and impactful. Yeah. So I'm really excited.
We are too. I'm excited. And it's something that all artists need to see.
100%. 100%. I think we have it billed as color theory. Yeah. But it's much, it involves color theory, but it's different.
Yeah. I think the title you chose was Understanding Skin Undertones.
Well, I started putting it together. I'm like, how can this be different than other color theory? A lot of people do color theory. Yeah. And as I started kind of building, I have color theory courses that have been out for a while, but I started putting it together to fit a 90-minute, and it morphed. It morphed into the 8 key components an artist needs to learn and understand to get consistent, beautiful, healed-in results. There's 8 key components I identified.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that word you just used, healed results?
Healed. I'm talking healed in tone.
Healed results.
And out of the 8 components, artists have absolute control, 100% control of 6 of them. 6 of them.
That makes all the difference in who you choose to go to.
Yes. 2 components. We have control to a point. We have control as far as learning it and having the information, the education, and then it's up to the client to do their part.
Right.
But 6 of them, we have 100% control. So I'm really,
it's a much needed topic.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Nice.
And it's a little raw, and it's a little, I think it's just I'm excited. So thank you both for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you for being
to speak to your audience. Thank you for trusting me. Yeah, because I know how much your audience means to you, your attendees mean to you. So let's sign out. Is there one last thing you'd like to tell, like your website or get tickets, ticket pricing? I'm going to let you guys take us out.
Obviously, website is pmuconferencevegas.com. Instagram is Vegas PMU Conference. They can use Teryn. If they use promo code Teryn, they get an additional 100 off.
Yeah, I think it's Teryn 100, right?
Yeah, Teryn.
They get $100 off.
Yep. And follow us on Instagram because we do giveaways before the conference starts. We have one coming up next week, I think.
You give away tickets?
Yeah, we give away tickets.
Okay, you guys.
Yeah, if you want to talk later, if you want to do some kind of live, and we'll do like a little mini giveaway, ticket giveaway.
But you got a giveaway coming up when?
I think we'll post about it next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So follow it. Follow
and
Instagram.
Then we'll have some more. Maybe if Teryn wants to do some.
I will definitely do one.
And then we try to make it fun, do some giveaways. So follow us on Instagram for sure, because that's where we do the lives. And anything else you can think of?
Just big thanks to Teryn. It's a third year that we'll be working together at the conference. It's always a pleasure.
I can't imagine not being there any year after. Yeah, we'll be there every year.
We'd love it's always a lot of fun, and we really look forward to having you and your team there with us again this year.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of all PMU artists all over the world, on behalf of all of them, Eric and Melissa, I do thank you for putting this conference on. We need them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We
It's
need
good
them.
to hear because sometimes it is.
I tell Melissa
tiring.
that after every
Well,
conference.
It's exhausting.
Well, look, one more little thing. I mean, you work for months and months and months and months and months
absolutely.
with no accolades, with no show of appreciation, with no nothing. It's behind the scenes, putting all this together, right? It's a lot of work. It's super stressful. We talked about how much money it costs you, and you get to see the fruits of your labor for those 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
And then it's done.
Yeah.
And then you go back, you take a month off?
Yeah.
And then you go back and you
Do it
start
again.
again.
Yeah.
And so you're really working for 10 or 11 months
Yeah.
without, I don't want to say accolades. I don't know if that's the wrong word, but
the appreciation.
the appreciation that we often need to inspire us to
And
keep going.
I think what you're saying too is you don't see a result until the conference
Yes,
happens.
yes. You
That's-
don't, yes.
So it's just you work. And it's true. I talk sometimes it's hard because I am a planner. So I live, breathe, and think it. He's like, well, you just need to not think about it right now. You need to not worry about it right now. Or I'll wake up sometimes 5 a.m. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, wait, we need to do this. We need to do that. He's like, because he's more calm. I'm more type A. So it's truly like live, breathe, and sleep and think it all the time. Oh, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. What can I do? And he's like, you just need to relax. But it's just not in my makeup to do that until it happens.
Right.
I get the fun end of it. I'm in front of the crowd and I see the happy faces. I see the smiles. I get the hugs. I get the compliments. Melissa's in the back still working on 3 laptops at the same time, making sure the video feed, the audio feed,
The online
everybody at home.
attendees.
Yeah.
So
I
she's
see you buzzing
working.
around. I totally see you buzzing around.
Yeah.
So if anybody goes to talk to Melissa, it's usually with a problem, a concern,
Right.
a complaint. So every night during the conference, I'm convincing Melissa that everything's going great, that everybody's happy because she's talked to the half dozen people that had an issue or had something
Or a
Right.
question
that
or
they
something.
didn't like or needed help with, where I'm getting the hundreds of hugs and people saying, this is awesome,
Right.
this is great, thank you.
Yeah.
So every night during the conference, we have a little powwow and things are good.
And that's why I think I appreciate
awesome day
those
again.
DMs and those emails.
Yeah.
And seeing people's, because our video guy will do the testimonials, which I don't see till after. When I
Right.
get the footage and I'm like, oh my goodness, did you hear that testimonial? Did you hear that testimonial? So those are the things that make us want to keep going or move forward.
Well, just know, even off season, the 10 months leading up, we do conferences. We do a lot of classes. I'm out and about, and people throughout the year bring up the PMU, the Vegas PMU Conference. Throughout the year, they bring it up and how great it was and how fun it was. Are you going to be there? I can't wait till.
That's nice.
That's
Yes.
nice to hear.
So it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
You
I'm just
know,
not seeing it.
No, you don't just
Yeah.
see it, but you need to know.
Yeah. Thank you.
You need to
That is
know
nice to
that
know.
people love your Olivia. Am I not kidding? Because she's my girl. She's with me a lot of the time, and people talk about your conference.
Oh, that's good.
They really, really
That's
do.
Really good to hear.
Yes.
No, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. If they didn't, I wouldn't tell you that.
Yeah.
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 So anyway, thank you guys.
Well,
Thank
thank
you for having
You
us.
got
Yeah,
it.
I
You got
appreciate
it.
Yeah, we look.
All right. So guys, I want to thank you. If you're still here, then you hung out with us the entire conference. Thank you to Eric and Melissa, the Vegas PMU Conference, October 6th through the 9th. I hope to see you all there. And remember, everybody, stay in the pursuit of happiness, and we will see you next time.